who joined me. We together joined Petrofac, and we created a business called Petrofac International. It's basically to pursue that business outside the US. We started with a capital base of $1 million, and $500,000 was put by the US company and $500,000 by myself and my colleague. And we had, in this business, you have to have a credit line because you need to be able to provide bonds and guarantees to clients. So we put everything on the line to have a $4 or $5 million credit line facility, including my house. And by the time we secured our first job, it was probably, we had a job in Azerbaijan. It was in late '91. We were down to about $200,000 in the bank. And I know that Tyler and the guys in the US, they had very little appetite to increase the exposure. They felt they will start with this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, they would have lost $500,000. We were fortunate. We worked hard, but we secured the first job, secured the second, and the rest has been history. We actually consolidated the ownership a year later, so the US became a subsidiary, and I became the group chief executive. We've grown from a number of people to about 20,000 over the period of time, professionals around the world. We've grown from a market cap of $1 million to $9 billion in that period of time. We have grown to be the largest oil and gas services group in the UK by market cap. We are bigger today than companies that are 150 years in existence, companies like in the UK, Ayman. And we have set a vision when we started to be the most admired oilfield services company in the world, which was when you're starting young and you set these kind of aspiration visions, you think it's crazy. But we are absolutely on track to deliver that vision. We have, now we operate in 30 countries. We've got skills that range from subsurface to drilling management to engineering, operations, decommissioning, training, and we cover the entire range of the skills in the upstream industry. So I don't want to talk about, I've spoken in Columbia, Harvard and Columbia this week, and I talk about the business angle and what makes a company successful. But I want to talk about 2 or 3 things which are the same whether you're building a business or you're participating in building a government. And both issues are around building a successful institution. First of all, in business, there are virtues of focus, there's virtues of having a clear story, a clear strategy. But one of the big issues about business is you never stay still. If you don't move forward and you do not push yourself always beyond your comfort zone, you're basically going behind. And there is a very, very fine balance between pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone and making a mistake and not managing the risk effectively. So you have to always go forward, but not and continue to manage the execution. And we've seen stories of businesses, great businesses, that have not been able to go with the time, and they have disappeared. Kodak is a great example. It was in the top 20 companies when I was when I started business. It's filed for bankruptcy, Polaroid, even Research in Motion and Nokia and so on. It's lots and lots of examples. And this is identical to what happens with governments. If people do not move forward, and in Syria it's not enough to say that we have had a bit of growth. On a relative basis, we've been going backward. We have been going backward in every aspect on a relative basis. When I left Syria in 1963, I remember we had it was actually a bit of a compromise to be moving from Syria to Turkey. Actually, I checked the statistics of the World Bank. Syria had the same per capita income at that time as Turkey. We have 1/6 of the per capita income today than Turkey. So the idea is that you want to always compare yourself, not only in absolute terms, but you have to see how you're doing against a world that's fast evolving and fast moving forward. The second thing I talk about in business to make create a big institution in business is you have to have a business which has a distinct and clear culture. And we have values for Petrofac that we have articulated when we started, which were the values of the leadership team of the business. That we want to be safe, we want to be ethical, we want to be innovative, we want to be responsive. We have a set of 5, 6 values. And these values, we make sure that every one of our executives actually live, and we evaluate their performance based on the values that they have. So, for me, one of the biggest attractions for being able to attract people to come and work for us is, on the one hand, you have to have the right story and the right strategy. But it's very important for people to know that they're coming to a business that values safety because they're not going to be killed, or they're working for a business that's ethical. If I had a reputation of being a crook, I would not be able to attract decent people to work for the business. And I know, for instance, we've lost one of our executives to go and work for a Russian oligarch. He had to demand 5 times his base pay, and he would do it for a couple of years. But this is no way of building an institution on a long-term basis. And this brings us to the same issue with government. Values that are articulated in business are values that are lived by the leadership team of the business. And if I did not behave in that manner, if I was not responsive, I was not innovative, I didn't operate in a safe manner, I didn't show this as leadership, I would not be able to lead the business. And equally in governance, you cannot lead if you talk about protecting your people and killing the people at the same time. You can't lead if you're talking about fighting corruption, being corrupt. You can't lead. You have to demonstrate that the values that you talk about because of your responsibility as a leader, you are actually living every time. And the last point, I think, that is relevant in building businesses that are sustainable is the importance of governance. When we started in Petrofac, and I tell this to actually a lot of young entrepreneurs who start out, what is more important than knowing what your strength is knowing your weakness. Because any business or any institution is not built by a person, it's built by a team. So what you want to do from the very beginning is know what are the qualities of the other members of the team that can come and work alongside you to be able to build an institution that's lasting. Over time in a business, what retains the checks and balances and keeps a degree of control is a very strong culture that allows debate, allows challenge in the business, allows discussion, but ultimately create a governance where you have an independent board, you have a challenge in the board. In Petrofac, I could easily have said, I was involved in founding the business, I'm the biggest shareholder, I own so much of it, I'm wealthier than most of you, I want to be the chairman, and I want to call all the shots. But that actually is a recipe for disaster, because you need a self-correcting process. You need a process that allows debate. You need a process where we have a board which is independent. We have a separation between the chairman and the CEO's roles. And you need always to be put in a position where there is a free debate and there is a free challenge, because that is the only thing that will produce the right answers. Unfortunately, and I can tell you of lots and lots of examples in business where companies have gone under because they've had superstar CEOs who were surrounded by yes men around them. The same thing applies for governments. Whenever you don't have challenge, you don't have debate, you don't have free discussion, you don't have free media, you don't have democracy. People, no matter how good they are, even if they start with the best intentions, and I want to give the benefit of the doubt for all the leaders in the Arab world, they make mistakes. And you need a self-correcting process. You need a process of challenge. You need free media. You need to have law that is protecting everyone, that everyone then is under that umbrella. Unfortunately, we haven't had that in most of the Arab world, and we certainly did not have it in Syria. So, moving on, and hearing all the inspiring words that were said, I could never be more excited about Syria today I'm really extremely enthusiastic about its potential. I know we have fighting, I know we have destruction in the country, but I also know one thing, that there are people in this room who are wanting to make a difference. I know that we have young people in the country who are brave enough to be twittering and to be working on the internet and to go out and demonstrating peacefully because they are demanding a different Syria. Seriously, I thought for a long time that spirit in the Syrians has been extinguished because we've had a deliberate attempt to extinguish the spirit, to turn us all into sheep that will, just follow, one leader or one party or one ideology. But the spirit that we've seen in Syria in the last 2 years is a spirit which is very encouraging, and the spirit that I see in this room is really incredible. I think this is the hope for our country. I mean, the other thing for me is I'm almost 55. I've had 50 years of this. You have an opportunity now, 50 years since 60, you have an opportunity to participate. At the time when you're young, you hopefully will have more than 50 years of participating in the rebuilding of the new Syria that we want. Rani was talking about why can't we, and I remember on my frequent visits to Syria, every time I go after the first day of eating good food, I used to get depressed. Seriously, I used to get absolutely depressed. Because the first thing is, my family house, by the way, even though I was born in Idlib, but was Latakia in the last 20, 30 years because my mother was from Latakia. But any time I come down, after the first 2 days, people know that I'm in town. So I end up having literally tens of people coming with CVs for their children, for their cousins, for their grandchildren, wanting them to leave the country because the country was not providing them with opportunity. And you say to yourself at the time, why is this? Why is a country which is so rich with its natural resources, with its heritage, with its talent, with its people, why is it that all these guys, they want to leave? They are looking for an opportunity. Why is it that a cousin of mine, if he wants to be an engineer in the municipality and not want to be paid off, he has to work as a taxi driver in the afternoon? Why is it that a friend of mine who wants to have a heart surgery, he has to go through the humiliation or asking me for help to go to AUH, to American University Hospital, to ask for that help, when he has the degrees, he has the qualifications, but he doesn't have the financial means? We have fallen behind in terms of the value systems that we have. It's become acceptable in Syria for people to do things that are wrong. If you're an employee and you don't get paid off, you're stupid because that's how you supplement your income. So, moving on, I do realize that any uprisings, any revolution is messy. And I think we are today at a crossroad where we hopefully will have change, but the change is going to be difficult. And we do not want this change to take us from a government or a system that has a single ideology to one which has a different ideology, whether it's a different political ideology or religious ideology. We don't want a system that excludes some people to another system which excludes others. So it's extremely important that everyone in this room and everyone in Syria and outside Syria participate in the rebuilding of the new Syria. And I think what really upsets me and really kills me is to see that when we have this spirit around the room, there's still a lot of Syrians who want to stand by the sideline and say, this will never work. I find it very demotivating and extremely negative. Some of the guys that you talk to are saying, oh, this is a grand conspiracy. It's a big thing, you don't believe it. You can't make a difference. Well, I tell you, you can make a difference. This is a time, a historic opportunity, where everybody can absolutely make a difference in the rebuilding of the new Syria. And the only thing that is going to defeat us in this transition is defeatism, is feeling that we cannot make a difference. This is a time where all of you can do something which is absolutely historic. And I'm not talking about you necessarily playing politics. I'm not saying go and fight in the civil war. But I'm talking about you participating in every aspect of building. You talked about communication, you talked about law, you talked about, Syria needs absolutely everything. Because in the last 40 or 50 years, all the civic institutions in the country have been destroyed. So you're almost having to start from scratch, rebuilding a civil society that's thriving. And this is not an easy task to do in a short period of time. So I would say for everyone here, I mean, I'll tell you what we're doing. I was mentioning to Lara. Through the Asfari Foundation, I mean, besides obviously helping relief aid and some of the scholarships that we provide, which is all about capacity building, we have been involved in a number of initiatives for producing leaders in Syria. We have a leadership academy with Chatham House. I mentioned to Lara, we just signed an agreement with AUB to create an institute for civil society and citizenship in AUB, and I gave a grant of $10 million, which is going to be announced on Monday. So we're doing a lot of things about, because I feel I can help, and I feel that I mean, I'm fortunate I have the means, and I've had the experience, and I've had the fortune of having the education and the exposure, as Iyad said. But I think when we talk about Jusoor, it's not only the scholarships. I think what you have also is you have a fantastic opportunity to bring the values that you have learned in these great societies, the values of tolerance, the values of not discriminating against people because of their race or ethics. I mean, what really kills me is to see people who come and do PhDs in this country and then go back to the same old way of doing business, behaving. He would stand in line here and he goes out and he shoves people, or he talks about having somebody who he pays off in order to jump the line. You have an opportunity here to take all these values that you have learned in this country, and in lots of places in the diaspora, in Denmark and other places, and take them to Syria, because Syria is not the place we want today. And I think, I just want to leave you with a message that the choices that you have today is, you have a choice of saying, I want to sit on the sideline, this is messy, I don't know what is going to happen afterwards, I'm not sure I want to participate. And I tell people who have this attitude, it's like somebody who's sitting in his prison cell, who said, I'm not going to run out because I don't have a motel room booked. When I have a motel room which is comfortable, but I'm going to run out. This is an opportunity now for all of us to, I'm not calling for fighting, I'm not calling for anything, but I'm calling for engagement. I'm calling for participation in the process. And I'm calling for you all not to sit on the sideline and not to say that we can't make a difference. Because I think at this time, you can be either spectators or you can be change makers. And I honestly believe that all of you could be change makers and you can all make a difference. Thank you.